Hi guys, James at RampantLionReviews again for you today with another beer review. For this one we are going to head to Belgium once again, and we're going to revisit one of probably the best known Belgian breweries for my third review from them here on the channel, and they have become a little bit of a favourite of mine since I'd first reviewed their beers maybe about 2 years ago or so now. So for this one then we are going to go to Abbaye De Leffe once again, and we're having a look at the Leffe Ruby today. So this one comes in at 5% ABV, and it's some sort of fruity radio, this one. When I've looked around Beer Advocate, Untappd and Rate Beer just to see what style exactly this is, because there isn't a profile on the website for this one, there doesn't seem to be really much agreement there, so I'm really not quite sure exactly what to expect from this one. If it turns out to be a Flanders Red like Rodenbach or Duchesse de Bourgogne, that's a style that I very much enjoy, so that would be a very nice surprise. But otherwise, I'm just really curious to see what it has in store. When it comes to Belgian beers, I'm a huge fan of Belgian blondes. It was the Leffe Blanc that got me into that, and that seems to be quite a popular review. That one's got a lot of views actually. I've also reviewed the Bruin from them as well, but blondes, tripels, quadrupels, they're probably my favourite Belgian styles generally. And when it comes to the sours, I absolutely love the Flanders Red Ales, and some of the lambics are very interesting as well. I'm getting more and more into my sour beers these days, but very curious to see how this one turns out. It was quite interesting to find this in my local Asda shop. £3.10 I think it was for this one, which translates to about €3.50 or something like that, maybe a little bit more than that. So yeah, pretty damn good value I have to say for 750 mils of a Belgian beer. So let's see how we get on with this one then. Cool to be able to do my third Leffe review for you as well, and hopefully there's more to come at some point in the future. So yeah, let's see how we get on. So as always with my reviews then, I'll tell you a little bit about the brewery before we taste the beer. If you want to get straight to the tasting, just fast forward. All the usual links are in the description below. That's the brewery website, the link to my other reviews that I've done from Abbaye De Leffe before. Like I said, hopefully we can review some more at some point in the near future. There's all the usual social media down there as well. If you want to see more reviews, do please consider subscribing to the channel. The whole channel, of course, has a geography-based tagging system, so you can go into the homepage and search for beer based on country, city, state, county, prefecture, whatever it is you're interested in. Do check out the playlist to beers from different countries. There is one there for all the Belgian beers that I've reviewed for you. That's being added to whenever I get the opportunity. And as always, please do get in touch and let me know some of the other beers and breweries that you guys would like to see me review. It's always great to hear from you guys that are watching the videos, and the support that you show the channel is hugely appreciated. So anyway, on to my brewery notes then, to tell you a little bit about Abbaye De Leffe and the Leffe Brewery as well. So the Notre Dame de Leffe, the Leffe Abbey, basically was founded back in 1152 on the Meuse River, and it was an abbey of Premonstratensian canons, if I'm pronouncing that correctly. And these guys were basically monks that lived in the community that were characterised by their hospitality. So the abbey is located in Dinant in the Wallonie region in Belgium, which is the French-speaking region, and you'll find it just to the southeast of Charleroi. Again, if I'm pronouncing that correctly, I do apologise in this video for bad French pronunciations. But in 1240, the monks decided to build a brewery which was intended to provide healthy and invigorating beverages for the pilgrims, and at that time the beer was actually much safer to drink than the local water. But the abbey was destroyed by a flood in 1460, and then a fire destroyed the settlement a few years later in 1466. Reportedly, the brewery was also damaged by billeted troops in 1735 as well, and during the French Revolution the abbey was closed from 1794, and of course the brewery was destroyed as well. So the monks returned in 1902, and they re-established the monastery, with it being consecrated in 1929, and then the abbey church was reconstructed on old farming land in the form of the old 18th century church that had been previously destroyed. So in 1952, Abbot Nays from the abbey decided that once again they were going to reincarnate the brewery, and they began brewing beers with the original recipes once again. And to do this, the monks teamed up with Albert Lutvoet, who was from Brewery Lutvoet in Overijse, which I'm not sure if that is still in Wallonie. The name is a bit more Dutch, so maybe that is in the maybe that is in Flanders actually, I'm not sure about that. But the Leffe beer is now part of the AB-Inbev group, of course, and it's brewed at the Stella Artois brewery in Leuven in Belgium. And apparently there's a Leffe museum that you can go and visit in the town of Dinant as well. So maybe that's something that I need to do, because as I say, the Leffe Blonde is one of my kind of go-to beers these days. This one is a little bit harder to find, of course, but the Blonde and the Bruin are pretty easy to come across, I would say. But in terms of the other beers that these guys do, There is the Blonde, the Brune, which I've mentioned to you already. There's the Triple, which is the only bottle-conditioned Leffe beer apparently. There's the Radius, the VL Cuvée, the 9, the Ruby, which is this one here, the Noel Kerstbier, as it's sometimes known, and the Printemps Lent beer, which is basically the... I think they would produce that around May or so. I forget exactly when Lent is. Not really into my Christianity right enough. They also have the Nectar and they have the Royal as well. And like I say, hopefully I can review some of those for you at some point in the near future. But I've not seen those too readily available. You know, maybe in Belgium and the Netherlands and stuff you can get them, but I've never actually seen them here in Scotland or in Scandinavia either. So yeah, need to. If I do see them though, I will see about getting a few of those and reviewing some more of them for you. They should. I would have thought when they're part of AB-Inbev, they might have been. There will be some kind of way of getting them. So maybe some more Leffe reviews for you to come. But that's all I can really tell you about Abbaye De Leffe and the Leffe Brewery for the moment. If you want to learn more, of course, you can check out the brewery website. They've got a list of all the different beers on there. Oddly enough, this one isn't actually listed in there on the website for some reason. I don't know why exactly that is, but of course you can follow them on Facebook and Instagram to keep up to date with all the latest goings on, and you can check out the Rate Beer, Untappd and Beer Advocate pages to learn a little bit more about the different beers that they do. So yeah, let's get on and actually have a taste of this beer then. So I'll let you just have a little look at the artwork on this one before we open it up. As you can see, and if you know this company, you'll see that the artwork on this one is pretty similar to the Blonde and the Brune. Just a different colour, of course, at the bottom here, but the artwork does change kind of periodically. There you can see the Abbey just up there, and it's got Anno 1240, which is to symbolise the foundation of the Monk's Abbey, the original Monk's Abbey, of course. Quite a few of the abbeys and things were shut down during the secularisation, which was Napoleon in France, if I remember correctly. But as I said to you at the start of the video, the Leffe Ruby, it comes in at 5% ABV, and it's some sort of fruity red ale, this one. I couldn't get a definitive style from researching around the internet. I wonder if it will be like a Flanders Red or something, but we'll get it out and we'll get on with the tasting then. I'm really curious to see what this one has in store. If I can get the lid off, there we go. Ooh, you can smell some of that lovely red fruit there as well. But let's get it out and into the glass then. Really curious to see what this has in store. I think this one is a little bit lower in alcohol than the other ones in the Leffe range as well. I'm sure that the Blonde and the Brune are like either 6 or 6.2% ABV. At 5, this one is just a little bit lighter. So yeah, as you can see, this beer's poured a lovely kind of, how would you describe that? It's not like candy apple red, it really is almost like a sort of not sapphire, sort of rubyish red. It's almost as if you have like a sort of strawberry ice pole, or strawberry glazed ice or something like that, or raspberry glazed ice. It's got a lovely colour to it, that if you shine the light through it, it does get a little bit brighter. It's almost a little bit like a kind of blood red or something like that, but maybe not quite that dark. But yeah, it looks very, very nice. You can see 1 or 2 big bubbles sticking towards the side of the glass, but there is quite a steady stream of carbonation just going up towards the bottom of that head there. Incidentally, the head is about 2/3 of a finger, and I would say it's got a nice kind of creamy colour with a very slight pinkish tinge to it. But overall, it looks pretty nice, and you know, when it's called it's called Leffe Ruby, this colour really isn't unexpected. In the more kind of craft beer, the more sort of craft beery world, you might expect this kind of colour from, say, a Berliner Weisse or something like that. But you know, the Flanders Reds do pour a colour quite similar to this, so I'm quite hopeful. But let's have a little look at the aroma then and see how we get on with this. Oh yeah, straight away with this one, you get a lot of, you get a hell of a lot of kind of candied sugar coming out of this. It almost smells a wee bit sort of herbal and or spicy or something. There is a little bit of that kind of sitting underneath the fruitiness in this beer. This is a really kind of interesting and quite unusual aroma, I have to say, but I like it. So with this one then, on the fruity side of things, there's definitely some cherry to this. I want to say it's got a little bit of a kind of raspberry note to it, but the raspberry isn't too sharp. It's actually more of a kind of juicy raspberry that comes out of it. I think there's a little bit of strawberry in there. maybe some kind of figgy notes or something like that, but really it's a very, to me it really leans towards cherries with just a little bit of raspberry or something there. The figs, the candied strawberries and stuff, maybe even a little touch of like blackcurrant or something. These sort of complexities you get really kind of sit in the background for me, mainly cherries and a little bit of raspberry in there as well. So that's a really interesting point to make about this one. The fruitiness does have a degree of complexity to it, and it almost just smells very, very candied, to be honest with you. A little bit like if you think of rock candy, hard boiled sweets and things like that. It really reminds me a lot of that actually. Underneath that though, on the hoppy side of things, you do get a little bit of a kind of grassy note to this one, maybe a teeny little bit of earthiness, but other than that I don't think the hops are overly present. I'm not sure whether it would be sort of candied sugar or whatever that you would add to the brew that would give you these kind of fruits. Of course, if it does turn out to be a sour beer, they've probably added the fruit into the brew a little bit, or made one of these kind of sour, I forget what you call those, they've made one of the things that they make with the lambic beers, the bacteria and stuff. So it could be that, but I think this is going to be more of a kind of sweet beer rather than a sour beer, just going by the aroma. On the malty side of things, you can pick up a little bit of that typical breadiness and doughiness that you would expect of a Belgian yeast strain. It comes across as quite smooth, but you can really smell the candied sugars mixing into that. I almost want to say it smells a little bit like candy floss, or cotton candy as the Americans would call it. It's got a little bit of that kind of going on to it. There's maybe a wee touch of like a biscuity or brown sugary butterscotch type thing in here as well, but mainly bready doughy with all those kind of candied sugars, just candy flossy type notes mixing into it, and a wee teeny bit of brown sugar as well. A little bit of grass and all those fruity notes I was talking about earlier. But yeah, in terms of the aroma, this one comes across really pretty interestingly, I have to say. A very, very sweet, candied smelling beer generally, I would say. I'm really not sure what to expect of this one, but let's have a taste of it then and just see how we get on. This one is the Leffe Ruby, some kind of red beer from Belgium, coming in at 5% ABV. Let's have a taste of this and see how we get on. So, Slange, Skål, Prost, Santé. Yeah, that, I have to say, that's quite unlike any other beer that I've reviewed for you on the channel. That's not what I expected at all. I thought this was going to be a big kind of oily, sweet sort of thing, and it does have a degree of sweetness to it, but it's a lot lighter than I was expecting it to be actually. This is a really really quirky beer actually. So, where to start with this one then? In the middle of your palate, you've got this kind of pale malty quality that just blankets the middle of your tongue. You can feel that sort of forming the linchpin of the beer. As the flavour kind of progresses a little bit, you get some nice woody notes pushing its way out of the beer. Yeah, there is a little bit of woodiness to this one, and you'll feel that towards the back of the palate in the centre. That kind of that lingers there the further that you go into the aftertaste. But this is very, very curious. It's really very unlike the other beers that I've had from Leffe before. I'm just surprised at how kind of light and crisp this one is. I'm really not sure what style bracket this one fits into actually. It's a very, very unusual beer, this actually. So yeah, definitely, as I say, pale malty base, some kind of woody notes. It's almost got a little touch of vanilla coming out of it at the front of the palate a little bit. You get more and more of that. It's almost got a kind of slightly herbally, almost grooty type thing. I know in Belgium that some of the breweries use groot herbs, if you like, to replace hops and things like that, but there is a little bit of that kind of coming out of this one. It's almost got a little touch of that phenolic type thing that you can sometimes get out of quadrupels and and Belgian brewings. There's something like that going on with this beer. So it's not the most overly complex beer, but it really has some very interesting flavours going on in it. This, as I say, is really unlike any other beer that I can remember reviewing for you on the channel. So yeah, have a go at this for yourself and see what you think. So yeah, in terms of the hoppy side of the beer then, on the edge of the back corners of the palate there's a little touch of earthiness there. As you come further forward along the sides of the palate, it smooths out and becomes a little bit more herbal. It's quite common in Belgian beers as well to use old hops rather than fresh hops, because you know, Belgian beer, of course, it's more about the yeast than it is about the hops and things like that, in fairness, and the malts to a degree as well. But it's quite common to use old hops, and you can feel that the hoppiness in this beer has dropped down a little bit if they have used hops. As I say, Groot is the other option that might have been used here, and the sort of herbal flavours that you get out of this might well suggest that. As I say, very little information available on this beer to know exactly what's going into it, but round the front curve of the palate it does get a little bit more kind of grassy, and it's got a wee touch of floral quality on the front corners of the tongue too. So yeah, on the fruity side of things then, as I always say, the fruity notes in a beer, they'll come out in that little oily bubble behind the front curve of the tongue. And this one, again, it's quite interesting. It does have a little bit of cherry to it, and that comes out the further you go into the aftertaste. You can feel that just kind of sitting there behind that sort of oily bubble, but it's got a wee bit of it has a little bit of kind of figgy kind of qualities to it, maybe even a wee, I don't think it's raisiny sharpness, it's too sort of candied for that, but a little bit of a, definitely some figgy notes, some sort of candied strawberry, and it's also got just a little bit of a, you know, it really just has that very sweet, like Haribo type flavour. The fruity notes that come out of this really remind me of like Haribo Star Mix or something like that. It's a very sort of candied tasting beer, this one. Yeah, I really can't think of very much else that you can compare this to other than like, it's like Haribo, but it's got a little bit of a kind of herbally, grooty type quality to it. And it really is a very interesting, very kind of curious beer, I have to say. I didn't quite expect something like this from Leffe Ruby. I thought it would have been a little bit more like a Flanders Red, but without the kind of sour quality, if you like. I thought it would really go for something more along those kind of lines. I don't know if this one is like a Christmas beer or something like that. I can understand that this you know, if this was released as a Christmas beer, it would kind of fit that market because of the candied flavours and things. But otherwise, I'm really not sure what to make of this one. It's interesting, but would I pick it over the Leffe Brune or the Leffe Blonde? I'd probably go for the Blonde out of all the three every day of the week, but I still need to try some of their other beers they have available. But pardon me, I do like reviewing beers that make me think a little bit. In terms of the mouthfeel of this one then, I think it's definitely it's quite a light-bodied beer, this one, for a Belgian beer, but in terms of overall, it's probably pushing towards the bottom end of mid-bodied, top end of light-bodied, something like that. Carbonation does have a degree of crispness to this one. The mouthfeel overall, I would say, is mainly wet. It's got a very clean mouthfeel to it, this one, actually, which I think is helped by the carbonation. It has a degree of oiliness to it, which is, to be honest, what you always want from Belgian beers. You do want them to feel clean, but also have that little bit of oiliness to give you a kind of sweet quality to them. In terms of hoppy bitterness and IBUs and things, I'd be surprised if this has got more than maybe 15, maybe 20 at most IBUs. I think that's the kind of region we're looking at with this one. The malt base, like I said, it's got a kind of nice smooth woody quality to it. It dries out the further you go into the aftertaste, so you will get a little bit of graininess then. So yeah, a mix of kind of smoothness, sweetness, and a little bit of dryness later on from the malt base, and you've got a really kind of sweet, candied type fruit quality to this beer. So yeah, I think that's a good way to sort of sum it up, actually. A very kind of quirky beer, this one. Definitely not, it doesn't give you the same sort of vibe, if you like, that you get from the Blonde and the Brune. But have a go at it for yourself and just see what you think. It really, I can see this working as a Christmas beer. Would I drink it again? Would I choose it over the blonde or the Bruin? I don't think so. It's quite an interesting one. I would maybe drink it again in a smaller bottle. I don't know if I'd necessarily get a big 750 of it again, unless I was going to share it, which I am with this one. But yeah, it's definitely cool to try this one. As I always say, I like reviewing beers that make me think a little bit and teach me things. So yeah, tell me a little bit more information about this beer in the comment section below. I was really surprised at how little information there was available on this. But hopefully I can review their Trip Ale at some point. I know they've got their Trip Ale. They've got the Royale and a few other beers in their Christmas beer as well, actually. I hope that I can review some of those for you at some point soon. But in the meantime, it was really cool to return to Leffe for my third review, and we'll need to see how we get on with the other ones later on. But thank you again for watching. I hope you've enjoyed this review. Until the next time, please like, subscribe, share, all the usual YouTube stuff. Let me know your own thoughts on this beer in the comments section below. Let me know what your favourite beers are from Abbaye De Leffe as well. And like I said, hopefully we can return to these guys at some point soon and try some of their other beers. This one in the meantime was a very kind of curious one, a very candied, very sweet and quite crisp Belgian beer, I have to say. So if it sounds like it would suit you, or you think that would sound good, check it out. I was expecting a little bit of a more Flandersy red type thing from this, but without the sourness, if you like. But a quirky beer and worth having a go at. So have a go at it and see what you think. Let's leave it at that. Once again, thank you for watching my reviews. Until the next time, please like, subscribe, share, all the usual YouTube stuff. Let me know your own thoughts on this one, and I will catch you guys very, very soon. The Leffe Ruby from Abbaye De Leffe near Charleroi in Wallonie in Belgium. Slàinte, skål, Prost, santé, and thank you for watching.